Hi everybody, I'm Jerry, Village's Newcomers. Thanks for being with us today. I want to talk about home ownership in Florida. You know, it's liberating to move away from your big lot. Up north, we had a 1 acre lot and we had a farm of 85 acres. We moved down here and we're on a postage stamp. I mean, it's not even an eighth of an acre. But still it has to be maintained. And one thing about Florida, you already know, things grow fast. It's hot. And today I'm going to show you one of the biggest and most overlooked things is the maintenance of your irrigation. You can do it yourself or you can hire an expert. And today we have an expert coming over here and he's going to talk to us about adjusting our sprinklers, looking at the overall pattern of the water so that our dry areas can be lush again. Right now we're in the middle of a drought here. The ponds are down, the irrigation water is down, and we're still watering what we usually do 2 times a week, but it's not getting the job done. And our sprinklers need to be readjusted. So we're gonna have an expert come over and look at these dry areas. Look at this. Our grass is much browner than it should be. Now it will recover. Things can go pretty bad here and still bounce back because usually in the spring, we get an ample amount of rain, and in the summer, we get daily rains. So your grass will bounce back, but so far it has not done that this year. As we walk along the property, I'm gonna show you some of the areas we're talking about, like right here. You can see that grass is brown. It does not have the appropriate amount of water reaching it. Now some does, you can see how green it is here. And remember that all of our water is supplied by sprinklers. Here's what they look like. You'll have a donut surrounding a sprinkler. That donut there is to protect it and to keep the grass from growing inside. But still, this grass is very invasive and will restrict the flow of your water if you're not careful. Now, it's especially important to maintain the front of your property. And we have the same issue out here. Although we try to make sure our sprinklers are free and flowing, sometimes things happen. The lawnmower may hit it, whatever, but you can see over here we have quite a brown patch. And we have an expert visiting us today, and he's going to show us all the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts of maintaining your sprinklers and having a good, healthy lawn. I want to thank Brooks for coming. Brooks is the owner of Florida's best sprinkler service. And this is what he does. He takes care of lawns.
Yes, sir. That's what we do every day.
Now, you're out of Claremont, but you service the villages?
Yes, sir. We move all the way up and down 27, all the communities, all the way up past Lady Lake and beyond, sure.
Now, does everybody need a sprinkler service?
Well, some homeowners are more active in their everyday, yard, maintenance and so on and so forth. It does take a little bit of effort for sure. You do want to maintain your system one way or another. You definitely want to do that.
And on a day like today, it's hot, and you do it all year round?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's one of the beauties about being in business in Florida is that, we do pretty much work 12 months out of the year. There's a couple of slow months, but most of the time people are still always worried about their lawn and whatnot. So,
well, today I know you're going to make the rounds of our yard here, and what have you noticed so far?
Well, first thing I noticed is that your yard seems to be a bit more burnt than some of your neighbors' yards. So there's probably some coverage issues, whether they be leaks that are not caught, pressure's not going where it should go. You could have some clogged nozzles, filters. You could have bad settings on your controller. It could be many things that would cause something like this. And sometimes it's not irrigation. Sometimes I can help people identify that it's at least not the irrigation. They need to call a lawn professional and see if they have chinch bugs or any other kind of like bacteria growth, mold growth, stuff like that in their lawn too.
Sure. Yeah, we have a lawn service, and we haven't had any problems with bugs. So I'll look forward to what you think when you get finished, but you'll go around sprinkler by sprinkler?
Pretty much. We start, I just usually like to start on zone 1, and I don't even typically if I know I'm going to do the job, I just start on zone 1, go through all of the sprinklers in that zone, make sure that they function to my satisfaction, and then I go to the next zone, next zone, next zone. And that includes if there's a problem with zone 1, I will obviously fix that problem. Because it's funny how, if you can imagine, water just the way it flows, sometimes a single problem causes a lot of other problems down the line. So,
Gotcha.
So we want to fix the problem that we find first and see what happens after that, and so on and so forth. Sometimes we fix what we think is a small problem only to reveal bigger problems down the lateral line, for sure. So
Now, just I told our viewers what to expect a little bit here, but here in Florida, especially this time of year, how many days a week should people be watering?
well, your municipalities and your HOAs are going to tell you when you're going to be able to do that. I'm old school. I would water, I would water every day a little bit if I could, but I know that most of the time more reasonable would be 3 days a week. But
it's expensive.
You'll find that most HOAs and communities they'll limit you to 2 days a week. And I'm pretty sure your neighborhood's no different. I'm not sure exactly what yours is, but we'll check that out too.
And on a healthy lawn, say, I know mine's not that healthy right now. How long should they water each day?
If it's a grass zone, like a actual turf zone, I think the average time is going to in Florida here is going to be around 25 minutes. Some people will be 20 minutes. Some people will be that 30 minutes. I have customers that will do it for an hour. I mean, you know what I mean?
They rich.
It's kind of totally up to you. It also depends on how much sunlight you have, how much shade you have. Things like that, slope, how well does your lawn hold water?
Okay,
and,
all those factor in.
Right. Also, the time of day that you water is very important too. I have some people, I show up and they've been watering at 11 o'clock at night, and they'll water for a long time too. So what that does is it actually leaves the water on the lawn too long before the sun helps evaporate it, and that's what creates some of the the places where bugs like to live, and also creates the that mold and all that kind of nonsense in your yard. So there's a good time. I'd say the average time in Florida, especially this time of year, is around 5 a.m. Some people want to do a little bit earlier depending on what time they get up, and maybe they have school kids walking by or whatever it might be. But I'd say that between 4 and 6 o'clock is when you want to start your watering process. Because there's a nice marriage of sunlight and water on the grass, is the most healthy, time to do it.
Excellent. And what about flower beds and shrubs? Is that less water needed?
Yeah, most of the time it is less water needed, especially if you have mature plants, the ones that have been here for a long time. If they're freshly, if you're doing annuals and they're fresh and you really need to keep them watered, you can water them either more often or a little bit more water. But most of the time, a nice mature plant that's been your shrubs or your small palms and things like that, they don't require a whole lot of water. So usually those are cut in half. Those are going to be average from around 10 to 15 minutes, in those zones.
Well, I know you need to get busy. Before you do, though, some of you folks might recognize Brooks.
Yeah.
He's a musician. Who do you play with?
I play with the Hayfire Band. Been in the Villages for a long time, and I meet a lot of clients, that don't. By each way. Matter of fact, we kick-started the business by me doing driveway parties. So it didn't cost me anything. All I had to do was go and do what I love to do, which is play music and pass out cards to the neighborhood.
Excellent.
That's how we grew our business.
What's your specialty?
Well, they call us a country band, but we won the top cover band, Orlando Weekly, 7 years in a row. Or nominated 7 years, won 6 of them.
Well, let's go take a look at the yard.
I'm ready. First thing I do is open up the panel here and see that they have a Rockio smart irrigation system, which is very cool, especially if, I don't know if you guys spend a lot of time outside of town, and this way you can monitor what's going on. You can set your own rain delays. You can water something extra if you need to. It's always nice to have something like that. Plus you can share it with your irrigator. So if I needed to come here, you could just send me the code, I could get in there and I could turn stuff on and off. I don't even need to get into the garage, which is really nice. And you can always be monitoring. It lets you know when there's rain delays and stuff like that. So so today I don't really have much I can do with on here. There is a way with this particular box to turn it on and off, but it's so much easier with the software. And then we'll go into the zones here. I don't know if you can get a look at that, but this kind of, he's got it labeled and everything. You can actually take pictures of the area as well, but he did not do that. But we'll start with front lawn and quick run on the zone. It's going to run for 10 minutes. We might not need it to run that long, but it looks like it's going to start. And there she goes. So let's just see if it's working. So far, my initial findings in this area are that it's not too bad. A little bit of clogging on this nozzle here, but not too bad. And what you have here is these are adjustable nozzles, so you can actually control how much arc you have. You can't really control the distance, but you can control the arc on those. So stuff like this is hard to do, but I don't know if you can kind of see where we have a little bit of water here on the sidewalk, right? These things are made to go in straight lines, so they're not really made to go curve too much. But it looks like your property line is part of that straight line there. So we should be able to adjust that and get it off of the sidewalk. And that's something that I'll do right now, while I'm here. So obviously you can't get it 100%. You can still see a little bit of water hitting here, but that's actually coming all the way from this one over here. And you'll also see this one here is passing over, and it's getting this area of the sidewalk as well. Pretty good. There's not a lot you can do, again, because these are made to shoot straight lines. The only thing you could do is put a smaller nozzle on that, which would create a little bit of a coverage issue. So in some cases it's better to go ahead and just let it overspray just a little bit, but you want to try to minimize it from hitting the house, hitting the sidewalks. Nice. Those all came out really, really good, really clean, fast. See, I don't know about what's getting this area here, because it certainly isn't this head here. So hopefully there's some overspray that comes over from this way that gets into that area. It doesn't look like it's extra burnt, so I'm assuming something's getting it. But one thing you can do is I can actually open it up just a hair, try to get some of that spray. To head back that direction. There's no reason why we can't have a little bit of water in there too, Now this may seem like something simple, but you see here how this thing is pointing right along this way, so we're missing this area along the side here. So we're just going to open it up and get it headed back. Again, we're going to get the driveway just a bit, but it's not too bad. I'd rather get a little bit of the driveway, but also include what's going on there.
Yeah, we were definitely missing this strip right here. It's brown, isn't it?
Yeah, this head is obviously not functioning hardly at all.
Is one type of sprinkler head better than another, or do they each have its own job?
Yeah, that would be characterized more that they have their own job. They don't. For residential stuff, generally speaking, we try to stick with Hunter, but that's not always the case. There are certain, we're not gonna go brand specific. We like job specific. So sometimes, we'll use an Orbit product for, say, like a smart controller. We might use Irrigation for valve installation, but we might use Hunter heads. Sometimes we'll put a Rainbird, nozzle on top of a Hunter head, and vice versa. We can mix and match things because they make those things where they do kind of cross-pollinate. All right, we got a little bit of a rainstorm coming through, so let's just take a little break here And, you know, I was working on one of those micro irrigation jets, and I basically tried to clean it, but it's got such small orifices here that basically shoot through. You know, it's a pretty small piece. This jet is made to go 360, so it goes all the way around. Your red one's here. This one looks like it's meant to be just a 180. So I'm looking for, my 180s are blue, but in any case, whenever I put this new 180 inside there, we should get full spray again one more time. Okay. Again, and this is the kind of stuff too, like you were talking about earlier, like with maintenance, like this is a pretty easy job for somebody to do, pretty much any way.
You have to be willing to get wet though.
Yeah, a little bit, but you know, hot summer day, shorts, flip-flops, or barefoot, and you get out there and you unscrew this piece out of the top and screw this piece back in. It's not very difficult to do at all.
Okay.
And some people, you know, it's for them, but it's not for everybody.
But this is the best sprinkler right now, right?
Yeah, this is exactly.
We're getting the best sprinkler right now.
Well, that's when the yards start to really come back to life every year, is whenever we start getting the constant rain every day. And that's when, you know, Mother Nature is trying to help you out for sure and save you on your water bill. But speaking of rain, right now, if you were to look at your program, it should have shut off if you have a rain sensor, which is a Florida statute. You're supposed to have a rain sensor on the home to, when it does rain, that your sprinklers do not fire and run, even though the program time might be the time. If you just had a bunch of rain and your sensor will shut off the system, then, you know.
It says your sensor has detected rain at your property. Scheduled runs will be ignored while the sensor is wet.
There you go. So, you know, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, we need to conserve water as much as possible. Again, hence the reason why we don't want to spray the house, we don't want to spray the sidewalk, the driveway, the street. We want to make sure that we're getting the proper coverage.
Have you noticed the ponds here in the villages? They are low, very low.
Yeah, I also noticed, like, after big rain events like hurricanes and stuff, that they run those, you know, quite a bit.
Even in the rain.
Yeah, because they're trying to get those levels back down. So they'll do it. But they got to be careful with that, because the more you water, if you oversaturate, you know, it brings salt to the surface.
Well, while we're waiting it out here, let's talk music for a minute. You're in the band Hayfire. What's your go-to song? What do you like? What do you enjoy playing?
Man,
we got time for one more song, ladies and gentlemen.
One more song. Takara kill me, but I usually will try to end with something, you know, something fun with her. Like, if we're gonna do a country song, it's probably gonna be like a Johnny Cash, you know, medley type song. Also, if we feel like it's more of a rocking crowd, we would probably try to do like some Journey or something like that, and get everybody on their feet singing along, like "Don't Stop Believing" or something like that.
Do you sing the lead on that?
No. I'm more of a I'm not quite a baritone, but I'm close. So I gotta stick to my roots. You know, born and raised in Texas, and do a lot of, you know, grew up singing country music. Let's take a look at the radar, see what this thing might be doing.
Brooks, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it. Again, the company's name is Florida's Best Sprinkler, and we will put the contact information in the video description. So are we up and running?
We're up and running. Everything's looking great now, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, and thank you for tuning in. And remember, you can go to jerryandlinda.com, and we will have a list of our preferred providers there, which now Florida Best Sprinklers is on it. Until next time, see you when you get here.